It turns out you don't need Sophie the giraffe. Hello and welcome back to Veggie Magnifique, your go-to for holistic wellness and healthy and happy vegan momming. I'm Anne, a health coach, performer, and a mom. So when you become a mom, everyone and their mother are going to tell you that you need XYZ, you definitely need to get this, you need to get that. If you don't, it's not going to be okay. And we've talked about this before, and it just isn't true, right? You have to find what works for you, and all the things that people say that you need, you might not need. Which brings me to an important reminder, both for you and for myself. You don't have to do parenting like everyone else, and you don't have to do it like me either. So my hope for this video is to inspire you to be mindful about parenting and about what you actually need and bring into the house. So before I share my tips on what I don't use with my baby, now would be a great time to hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on future content. I've got lots of minimalist mama content coming up that you don't want to miss, so definitely join the free club by clicking the red button. Okay, so let's get into it. First off, just a disclaimer here, this video is not meant to be judgmental. I'm just sharing the things that for me and my family we have deemed either unnecessary or not our style or that we don't align with, and this is what works for us. So if you use some of these things with your baby, that is fantastic. You have to do what works. This is not a judgmental thing. You have to find what works. This is just an invitation to be free to do you and not follow the trends of what every mom needs. So first up is a pacifier. We don't use a pacifier. Why? Well, principally, I don't like the idea of pacifying my child. Like if my baby is crying, he's trying to communicate some sort of need, and I want to find out how to meet that need. Now, babies cry, right? You might not always figure out, what it is that they need or why they're crying, but I don't want to silence my baby. Because like I said, especially in the first year, crying is their language. Crying is how babies communicate, like something is up, right? And so I don't want to just pacify them. Furthermore, my husband and I are very inspired by the Montessori philosophy of parenting and schooling and whatnot. And Montessori doesn't recommend pacifiers. The reason being is that pacifiers can impede language development. So if you have something in your mouth all the time, you're not going to be able to coo and speak and babble and do all these things that help with language development. Plus, kids get really addicted to pacifiers, and then they're really difficult to take away later. And I feel like I feel like they look kind of silly. Just honestly. And of course, there's also the fact that I was raised without a pacifier, as was my brother. And if I were to use a pacifier, my mom would probably disown me because it's just not what we do. That being said, I know a ton of moms who use them, and I'm privy to why. I get it. In the newborn days when Edgar was just going crazy and we were trying to figure out what he needed, and there were a couple times we tried it. We had a pacifier that a friend gave us, and we did try it once or twice, and he was not having it. And so in a way, I was kind of glad about it because I didn't want to be a pacifier mom, for those reasons that I mentioned. So he wasn't into it. Had he taken it and had it been amazing, I would have been sort of in this cognitive dissonance space of well, how long and how do I let him use it whilst trying to stay true to my heart of hearts of not wanting to pacify him. But I get it because it's sometimes you just need to soothe your baby. But there's always pros and cons, right? So the pro is that you temporarily soothe your baby, and the cons are that it's a crutch that pacifies and that's difficult to remove later. Next up is diaper genies. So we don't have a large, hermetically sealed diaper pail where we put diapers. And the reason being is that I used to nanny, and the houses where they had a diaper genie, sorry, I thought my cat was going to wake up my baby. And the reason why is because I used to nanny, and the home that had these diaper genies, they just smelled funky. Anytime you opened it to put a diaper in, the funk would just descend upon you. And in my opinion, it's better to not have a large quantity of poopy diapers just hanging out. I feel like it's better to just take each poopy diaper and remove it from the home. And it's not that much work. It's not that much work. You're still having to remove a big bag of poopy diapers however often you're doing that. So that's an awful job in itself, whereas a stitch in time saves 9 kind of thing. So we don't use diaper genies, and it's just a little bit of like olfactory feng shui. So just really quickly, if you're a new mom or a mom who's been around the block, I have created a free ebook called Optimum Mama Wellness, the 12 keys to more energy, enjoyment, and wholeness. So I've been working on this project for a few months now, and I'm very, very excited to share it with you guys. It's free, and I really hope that you derive value from it. So if you're interested in my ebook, just click the link below for your free copy, and I really hope it makes you feel more vital and gives you some great ideas. Next up, we don't use the baby walkers, the baby like all singing, all dancing gyms with like the mirrors and like the things that baby goes in. So first and foremost, why we don't use them is because they're deemed unsafe. Like in Canada, they're actually outlawed, these like baby walkers. And the thing about the walkers is it's not actually helpful for baby to learn how to walk being in one of those like devices. It's more for the parents, right? It's more to like contain baby. So we like to avoid things that are like a million bajillion colors and like flashing, but then also, you know, it's not helping your baby at all. It's just containing your baby. I'm all for baby wearing and also creating a safe space for babies. So that's another reason why we wouldn't want to use these. But also there's a lot of evidence to suggest that it's just not the safest thing to put your baby in one of those like little walkers, or, and this is important actually, to try to get them to do something before they're ready with the help of a device. That's a theme throughout this video, you'll see later. I think it's important to respect where your baby is, like in their development. Like if they're not sitting, they're not sitting. If they're not walking, they're not walking yet. And that's okay. They're gonna figure it out, and they don't need the help of like contraptions, essentially, in my opinion. Another factor is that we just don't want to overstimulate our baby. That's like a thing nowadays, you know, with all the battery op toys and flashing and plastic. We just want to allow our child to explore the world in all its natural elements, the sun coming through the window. And you know, we have toys, we have like more natural toys, but we just are trying to err on the side of not overstimulating our child. Next up is cloth diapers. I really wish I could tell you that I use cloth diapers. It's so crunchy and fantastic. Be like, yeah, I'm cloth diapering my baby. And we tried, and it was just terrible. I'm sorry, like it was so bad. They are heavy and they're stiff and they don't work as well, and your baby's sitting in wetness and you have to wash things like double cycle. Like in terms of eco, I don't know. I don't know, you know, I've talked about this before. So we tried, and it just was terrible. So we found Coterie Diapers, which is a fantastic, more sustainable brand that I feel so much better about. They're minimalist, they work, they're soft. I'm like a fan. I made a video all about them, which I'll link, so definitely check that out. But yeah, so we're happy with the Coterie Diapers, and we don't use cloth diapers. I tried, it just didn't work out, and that's okay. So next up is baby shoes. We don't use baby shoes. Now, once baby is walking outside, obviously we'll have baby shoes, like toddling, once he's toddling. But before baby's walking, we have chosen not to put anything on his feet other than like if he's cold. Like if he's cold and he needs some booties and some socks, I'm the first person to not like cold feet. Like I wear socks to bed unless it's like super hot, so I'm all about warm feet. However, the beauty of barefootness is that baby is learning to articulate and turn, and when they're in tummy time, like they're really using their feet and their fingers to just like maneuver and understand movement. So we definitely try to keep baby barefoot as much as possible for crawling, turning, and just maneuvering in space. And then once he's actually walking and needs to go outside, then, you know, we'll give the boy some shoes. But in baby land, you know, shoes are just some sort of like cute little fanfare thing. But the truth is babies don't need them. Next up is conventional diaper rash cream. So we don't use diaper rash cream, primarily because he hasn't gotten diaper rash. But even if he were to get it, we wouldn't use the conventional diaper rash cream. We don't want to put petroleum and mineral oil on our baby's bum. And like Desitin, the main diaper rash cream, those are the main ingredients. It's just unreal. And we don't want to put that on our baby. So if your baby gets diaper rash, there's so many things you can do. You can use coconut oil, or you can use like a natural vegan brand. Oh, you don't have to put chemical creams on your baby's bum. And their skin is so sensitive, and our bodies absorb everything put on it. So yeah, we don't use any of that like 50 ingredient chemical cocktail kind of stuff. And you don't have to, right? If your baby gets diaper rash, you don't need petroleum. You know, you don't. So anyway, next up is a Bumbo. We don't use a Bumbo. So a Bumbo is one of those little curved chairs that helps baby to sit, right? So this is much like the baby walker. If baby's not ready to sit, baby doesn't have to sit. Baby doesn't have to sit. Again, this is for the parents much more than the baby, because you're like, yeah, baby, hey, sit with us. And baby's like, I don't know how to sit yet, you know? So we definitely, we're not tempted to get a Bumbo because we don't want to make baby do what baby's not ready to do, if that makes sense. We want to respect his timeline. And again, there are other ways to like contain your baby. You can have a safe little area like with, you know, those like baby gate fences things, and you know, you can find ways that they can be contained. You can baby wear, you know, you can put them in one of those pack and play things or whatever, but like in a little plastic Bumbo thing just doesn't seem pleasant. You know, it doesn't seem pleasant for anyone. Next up is a rocking chair or a glider. So we don't have a rocking chair. Now this is largely because a rocking chair wouldn't fit in our nursery because we have a shared nursery with the master bedroom, which I made a video all about, which I'll link. And so a rocking chair just doesn't fit. So one thing I want to say about the rocking chair, I love rocking chairs. Rocking chairs are great, but you do have to be careful about the sleep associations. So for example, if baby needs to be rocked every time he needs to go to sleep, then baby needs to be rocked every time he needs to go to sleep. Or if you're nursing to bed every time he goes to bed, he needs to be nursed to bed. It's like all these associations. And I do nurse our child and I like nurse him to sleep at night. During the day, we try to not nurse him before the naps. It's, you know, feed, play, sleep thing. We're trying to do that. But it's just about being aware of what the associations are so that your baby can eventually go to sleep themselves without the crutch of being rocked or being fed or whatever. And everyone's gonna do this differently. There's a lot of different philosophies here. I'm rambling about this. But the reason I'm bringing up the rocking chair, and I do want one day, is that you don't need one. So if you're watching this and you're a new mom and you can't afford a rocking chair, or there's no space for a rocking chair, which is more likely because rocking chairs you can get at like thrift shops and things like that for quite inexpensive, then just know that you don't need one. You're gonna be okay. We've been fine. You know, like sometimes I'll rock him on the bed just a little bit to soothe him. You know, I'm not soothing my baby, obviously. I mentioned the sleep association thing just as a point that, you know, we think about that we're trying to like cultivate a good sleeper on our hands and whatnot. But certainly we sing songs and we cuddle and we nurse and we rock and things like that. Anyway, a rocking chair is not a necessity. Minimalists rejoice. So lastly, we don't use any sort of like chemical creams on our baby. So we use just pure oils. We have a calendula oil. We also have a super pure vegan lotion that we really like. And we use like a shea butter soap sparingly for our baby. And the reason being is, again, you know, what you put on your skin gets absorbed into the bloodstream. And you don't need those chemical creams, you know, like the Aquaphor or anything like petrolatum is not a necessity as a parent. I'm just gonna let you know, crude oil, you just don't need it. I'm sure. I promise you, you don't need petrolatum, you don't need mineral oil. And those are the things that are in a lot of these mainstream chemical creams. And what they are essentially is just marketing. You don't need it. You could use coconut oil. You could use a pure calendula oil, you know. So today I'm drinking Aiya matcha. It's an organic ceremonial matcha that I got at Whole Foods because I was out and desperate. Now you'll see that there are some pebbles in here, right? Some clumps. Now today I'm going to share how to declumpify. You put it through a strainer. It doesn't have to be a matcha strainer. It can be any old strainer. And then you whisk before you add the liquid. So then you add the liquid and then let's just stop here for a second. I was watching the camera and not what I was doing, so I added way too much water. One key to not have clumps is to add a little bit of water at a time. So do as I say and not as I do. So I had to whisk it ad nauseum, add some Oatly, and voila. So those are the things that I'm not using with my baby. Again, if you are using these things, no judgment. You have to do what works for you. I just hope that this inspires you in your new mom journey to know that you can do it differently. You can do you. So thank you guys so much for tuning into Veggie Magnifique. I hope that you found this video helpful. Of course, I can't wait to hear from you in the comments down below. Let me know what it is that you don't use that everyone else uses, because we all do this momming adventure differently. And of course, make sure to download my new ebook, which is down in the comments below. Just click the link and you can download it. I'm really excited for you to read it, and I hope that you find it valuable and helpful as you seek to be the best version of yourself. And I will see you next time on Veggie Magnifique TV.